two, one.
Hi, I'm Regina Taylor. I'm the curator of the Black Album Mixtape, and I'm so happy that I'm being joined by Miss Ptosha Storey. Thank you. How are you today?
I am fantastic. How are you, Regina? It's so good to see you again.
Oh, great to see you. Thank you for supporting the Black Album Mixtape. Now, we're both from SMU, Dallas,
Right?
Texas.
Pony up. Go Mustangs. Yep.
How did you come to SMU?
Well, I was raised in Dallas, Texas, and go Cowboys. And I went to the Arts Magnet School of Performing Arts at Booker T. Washington.
Yes,
And
great school.
yes, thank you so much. And I actually, if I just take it back a little further, I didn't even know I would be able to go to college because I came from some humble beginnings. Grew up in the projects there in Dallas, Texas, and so
Same here.
I had a so amazing team of teachers and counselors who believed in me, and they were like, "You're going to college." I'm like, "I am." We don't have any money, and so they encouraged me to apply to different colleges and scholarships and everything. And starting out thinking I wasn't going to any colleges, and then end up being accepted to like 15. And SMU was among them. And
You were accepted at 15?
15.
How did that work?
Well, you apply and then you get accepted and then you have to decide. But, for me, it was, because I had a team of teachers who are still in my life at this point. My godmother, she's now my godmother, Carol Francois, and lots of Nedra James and all that. So they were like, "You're going to college." So I'm applying for scholarships and auditioning for different colleges. You know how that goes. As an actor, you have to go to the colleges and audition and all of that. And so I got accepted to a lot of colleges, and I was just like, "Whoa, like me? Y'all want me?" And then SMU blessed me with a full scholarship, and the program at that time was very selective. I think it was like 10 actors that they accept per year. And I was one of them, and I was so honored and so happy that one, I'd be going to college, and two, that they would be supporting me through it. And so I was just blessed in that way, and actually ended up getting 2 degrees from SMU. And yeah, but acting was my major, one of my majors. Yes.
And what was the other?
African American history.
Oh, well, wonderful.
Yes.
How did you find your time at SMU?
Time really nice. I left. I remember calling my mother and go, "Mom, I'm moving." So once I left home, I stayed on campus even through the summers, working or what have you. And so educationally, I thought it was a profound education. There were times, if I'm honest, because it's a pretty Eurocentric school, and so there are times that culturally, I felt a little deprived. But then I found that in one of my majors is African American history. I found that in pledging Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and just found my communities of people who look like me and have the same concerns as I. And so overall, they were very, very supportive, and I enjoyed the stay, and I enjoyed making the connections that I did with, everybody, but especially people of the same culture.
Yes. At that point, what was the turn for you to know that you wanted to be in this industry, to be an actress? Did you have some other plans before that led you then to think that this was the way to go?
Yeah. Well, I used to think I was going to be a singer, because that's just, what I know. Because, I grew up, like I said, in the projects, and it wasn't a lot of creativity. It was, you had to kind of fight and struggle to survive. And so being a creative.
It was always to be an entertainer?
Well, when I was like I said, growing up, there was a guy who would always do talent shows. He would grab us in the, and like, we're going to perform. And so we would do these talent shows in the.
No, which projects did you grow up in?
Calvary Arms.
Okay, yes.
Calvary Arms by Maynard Jackson.
Yes,
That's
yes.
going down now. But, and so his name was Rufus. I'll never forget him. I wish I could find him. but he would always grab all the kids around and he's like, we're doing a talent show. That was our creative outlet.
Yes.
And because of that, I started singing, just because I thought, oh, I could, kind of sing a little bit. So I was, singing, doing the talent shows. And then I went to Griner Middle School. And I thought, okay, I'll just be in the choir and just, figure out what I'm gonna do. And Miss Perry, actually, who was a mime teacher there, she said to me, young lady, you should come and join our mime troupe. And I'm like, mime? I've never heard of what? Mime. And I said, okay. So I started doing mime. And that kind of, it introduced me to acting and theater. And
Yes.
then from there, she encouraged me to go to Arts Magnet because they had a mime troupe. And then that's how I got to arts. And then I was able to do acting, singing, everything all in one. And I just remember how I felt like I was breathing in that creative space, finally. So that's how I discovered it.
How did your people take that you wanted to be a singer, wanted to be an actress? Was there a lot of support for you?
Well, yes, because my mother was a single parent, and basically she was just so focused on, raising us and trying to make sure that we had food to eat and clothing that it was, as long as you do something with your life, then I'm good. So I only had, my mom, and she was just really good. If I did something, I did a play, she would come and support it. My sister was in ROTC. My brother was, did the band. So she was the kind of mother that it was, as long as we were doing something productive with our lives, then she was supportive.
Absolutely wonderful. I know that when I went to SMU, I was a journalism major, switched it over to theater acting, and people thought I'd lost my mind.
Really?
Wasting all that money, good hard-earned money, on doing what?
Oh, wow.
Was the first reaction. But my mother was always very supportive in whatever direction I wanted to go in.
That's
Oh,
so interesting. I didn't know that. That's a little known fact.
uh, it is important to have that person. If it's one person whispering in your ear, you can do this. And that's really great that you had the support of your family.
And I just want to add to that, just having the support of my family was amazing.
Mhm.
But I think also what helped to change the trajectory of my life was the teachers there
Mm,
at Arts Magnet High School.
mhm,
I tell this story, but it's important in terms of how it's changed me into the woman that I am today. But I
mhm.
remember going there my freshman year, and all I knew about was kind of fighting and just being disruptive or what have you. And Arts Magnet, had never had a fight, and I had the first and last fight there at the school.
Mm,
Crazy. And I remember my English teacher there, who's now my godmother, Carol Francois, was like, young lady, what are you doing? We don't do that here. And I'm like, huh? And I met some of the most amazing people in that hallway that day, them breaking up this fight. But then they started pouring into my life, and they saw things in me that I never saw in myself.
mm,
And my first time ever flying on an airplane was my teacher, Carol Francois, who's my godmother now. But she was like, you're going to go and compete in this competition. It was called AXO competition. She said,
mm.
you're going to go and compete in this competition, and I'm going to make sure you get there. Because I was like, I can't go to Baltimore. She made sure that I had a flight to go to Baltimore. Nedra James, who's a teacher of mine, we didn't have a car. So she let me get my license in her car. When I went to college at SMU, Carol Francois, Nedra James, Mary March, they made sure I had towels and sheets and bicycle and everything that I needed in order for me to pursue this thing called acting. And from that day, even until this, they're still in my life, and my family, as well as those amazing Black women who saw this gift in me and
Yes,
made me channel that gift and
yes,
supported me through it. And I'm just forever grateful to them, because it takes a village. And I was
yes.
just blessed to have that kind of village that saw that strength in me. And so I have to give them, I have to give them a
All
shout out
praise.
where I go.
Yes,
They're amazing.
wonderful.
Yeah.
It does take a village. When
Yes.
you graduated from SMU, what did you believe were your choices?
Well, when I graduated from SMU, I was a little scared because I know this journey of acting, and I know that I knew that I loved it. I knew that it was really the pulse of who I was. But again, you're so often waiting on someone to say yes, and knowing that you don't know. So I got a real job too when I graduated. I worked for Sprint for a while, until I got my bearings and got to meet, to do some plays in Dallas Theater Center. I even had an opportunity to work with you on Crowns. Uh,
I remember the day that you came in for Crowns, and just so shining, so stunning, and new. I wanted to have you as part of this. Really, it was an amazing group of just fierce women. Uh, really, such a great and shining group. And
and you too. I tell people every day. They said we did Crowns. Somebody, I said, well, if Regina Taylor didn't direct Crowns, I don't know if you did Crowns. You
uh,
just were stellar and impeccable in one in your writing, but two in your direction, and you just made. I tell people that was probably one of the hardest shows I've ever done on stage because of the dancing and the music and the not stopping and all that. But it was the most magical moment for me in terms of an actress. And it just really, you helped to just to elevate me to another level. And so for that, I am forever grateful and just honored to have worked with you.
Oh, your performance is imprinted on my brain and in my heart, in my spirit.
Mhm.
I thought you were just so lovely, so beautiful, and so great in that role.
Thank you so
Wanda,
much.
just gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I started doing, theater and, in Dallas, Texas. And then I, got married and had a family. And so I thought, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna continue to work here in Dallas, Texas. And then I started directing and I'm loving directing plays too.
Yes, yes. And that's the wonderful thing, is that you go back and forth. You've
Yes.
done films, you've done TV, and you always go back to theater. And not only in terms of acting, but also as a director.
Oh my God. Getting on the boards, as we say, is really like the gym to me of acting. I mean, television film is absolutely amazing. It's a beautiful genre. But in addition to that, though, I always want to like get on stage at least once a year. It's just the fine tuning. It make you get to
What
check
is the
in.
difference? What is the difference between acting for TV film and acting for theater?
For me, the magic you get to experience in the moment. Right, the technical parts are all set up and done through rehearsal. You got your tech, costume, all that. But when it's time to run that story, that play, from the beginning to the end, you have to live in that moment. There's no cut. Okay, retake. Okay, let's get that angle. Okay, boom, boom. No, that experience is that experience, and the beauty of it to me is every night it's a different show.
Mm.
It's a different experience, and you get to grow in each performance. Sorry, you get to grow in each performance.
Yes.
So, in a regional theater play, obviously, you get to rehearse for a month, and then you get to run for a month. And
Mhm.
your performance from the opening to the ending, in my opinion, should be almost night and day
Mm.
because you get to grow in that person and honor that person who you're playing. And the audience is a part of that journey, which is very different than television and film because, as the audience doesn't get it until sometimes months, years later. And so you don't know what the response is or the reaction is or whatever. And sometimes the audience just even infuses your performance, and it's a beautiful symphony to me, the stage. And I feel completely alive because magic happens, the collaboration with the director and the actors, and then you get to play, and this doesn't work. Okay, try this, and this doesn't work, try this. In television film, it's you don't get as much liberty because you don't have as much time.
Uh-huh.
So you pretty much have to kind of, you make some choices and decisions and kind of hope they work.
Yes. So after you graduated, what was your first professional gig?
My first professional gig in terms of television, because stage is professional as well. In terms of television, was The Road to Galveston.
Oh, with
With
Cicely
Cicely
Tyson.
Tyson.
Yes. And I was so moved hearing about her passing.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
that she's done, a
96.
trailblazer, just leading the way. We are here because of her.
Yes, we are.
Because of, and I think of all the different roles, groundbreaking roles that she did. So that was your first.
And she
Mm,
paved the way. And what was so magical about that was, in studying theater in high school and then in college, Miss Cicely Tyson is the constant,
mhm.
okay? And
Yeah,
so as you study, you're studying her.
yeah.
And never would I have thought that I would be working with her,
Yeah.
like side by side, face to face.
Yes.
And so that was just such a blessing for me and a confirmation that I'm on the right path and purpose.
Yes.
And so
What was it that she gave to you? What did you take away from that experience?
her discipline,
Mhm.
that was a very disciplined actress.
Mm.
I remember when I walked on set, the director said, okay, now her name is Sugar. So it's not Cicely Tyson. She's called by her character.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I never heard of it. Okay, no problem. And so as I
Always in character.
always. And so even between takes, she never drops the character.
Mhm.
She is constantly, it's the consummate concept of I am this person living this life.
Yes.
What we're trained to do as actors. But we drop and get in and whatever and turn it on and turn it off. But she would actually live the life of the actress. And I
Mm.
remember as I watched her, even when, let's say, someone rapped, and they'll say, okay, it's a rap for such and such, and you know how they clap, right? She would be in her corner, still focused, never breaking. And I thought, wow, the commitment to this woman that she's playing it was amazing to watch her off screen and how she kept that commitment,
Mm.
and then would bring it onto screen. It was just beautiful. And I just thought I will forever work hard on everything that I do. And I may not master everything, but I'm gonna give everything 100%. And I'm
Mm.
never gonna be too comfortable that I'm phoning anything in, because I'm looking at this woman who has a vast amount of work behind her, and as we know, many more years in front of her. But her commitment to that role and that character, it was honorable. And for me, I thought I will always be committed to every role that I do, 100%.
Wonderful. Your next big break was with the Oprah Winfrey Network. Uh, can you tell us about what you were doing in
If
in
loving you is
that
wrong.
role? If loving you is wrong.
Yeah, well, when I moved to Los Angeles, I moved there, I divorced, and I moved there as a single parent, didn't know anyone. So I
Mm.
was really just trying to find my way. I just made a decision. And so I did a few guest stars and co-stars here or there, but I had my son and I didn't want to compromise, his life and his lifestyle. And I never wanted to leave him for what I was doing. And I wanted to make sure he was normal and had everything he needed. So I I did little roles here and there. And then when he graduated, I just decided, okay, it's time. Graduate from high school. And I said, okay, it's time for me to really focus on me. And I had made a decision really that I was going to say, oh, you know what, I'm in LA, but I'm going to go, on vacation with my mom in Atlanta. And I'm going to see if I can get in front of Tyler Perry or someone just to kind of, because I'm not 20 anymore. So let me just figure out how I can kind of get in there quicker. And something about manifestation is pretty powerful, because as I was speaking those words and getting ready to kind of go, my mom and I were going to meet in Atlanta, and then I was going to stay a month. All of a sudden, I'd say out of nowhere, because I'd had an agent who hadn't called me on anything in a while because I was so focused on raising my son.
Mm.
But I'd gotten this audition, and it was like, you have an audition for the show called 11 Years Wrong with Tyler Perry. I was like, wait, what? Because here I am packing, gonna go there just so that I can try to figure out if I can get to an agent that can get me in front of a couple of people or whatever in Atlanta. And I thought, okay, this is weird, because I just put this in the universe. And so she said, and it's tomorrow, and it's like 10 pages. I was like, oh Lord, okay. So I was like, okay, no, because this is God, and I am going to get this done. And so I went, auditioned for that show, If Loving You Is Wrong, and booked it the next day. And that was my, my guest star, a recurring guest star. Well, actually, it was supposed to be a guest star. So I got to Atlanta, and I did the audition. I mean, did the episodes that he wanted me to do. And then I went to him and I said, Mr. Perry, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me. He's like, where are you going? I said, well, I've rapped. And he goes, oh, no, I'm writing some more. Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
And so it turned, from one episode, it turned to like 7.
Yes.
And, that was beautiful. And then from then on, I just decided, I'm going to focus finally on me and my craft and what I want to do while I'm here in LA. And I just started, working after that. And it was pretty amazing.
Right. And you continue as a muse for Mr. Tyler Perry, in that you have continued to work with him on several projects, including The Oval.
Yes. I then next with him, I mean, I did, like some Lifetime movies and a couple other things, but with him, I ended up doing Acrimony, the movie.
Yes.
Played
Taraji P. Henson's
her older sister, Brenda, the mean one. And so I was able to do that, and that was fantastic. And just working with Taraji was amazing.
Yes.
As well, and Lyric. And then from there, I ended up doing Empire.
Right.
Played China on that, and that was wonderful.
Yeah, and it's really interesting how one door opening leads to other doors. It is a tribe. You're developing family. It's really great when you can continue to work over and over again with familiar people.
Yes, absolutely. And when people can put a word in for you, because I know even with Empire, I remember after working with Taraji on Acrimony, my agent was trying to get me in, to audition, whatever, and then she just made a phone call. It's like, well, she wants to audition. Let her, audition. I was like, oh, good. So I was able to audition and book the role and get in. So, God just constantly sends me angels, and I'm just grateful for them.
What has been your favorite role?
Ooh, Gina. That's a good question. I don't know yet, because I think it's yet to come. I've enjoyed, all of them are so different. I mean, I play a prison woman in Empire, and then I'm a gangster mom, and If Loving You Is Wrong. Now I'm a sweet, supposedly wholesome woman in The Oval, and I'm also doing The Young and the Restless now.
Right.
As well.
Yes, there is, you show all of this range. You show all of these women who have a grounding, no matter what type of woman she is, you bring your own grounding to them. And it's really wonderful to watch.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot coming from you. I just think I'm enjoying telling stories. I enjoy, because I tell people that obviously acting, the training is, you have to do the work. But life experiences is also a part of them. When you can couple them and bring them and infuse them into your work, then I think that's where the magic happens. And so, being a parent has helped me.
Yes, you are the mother to a son that is African American. What is the most important bit of wisdom that you have given him? And he's also an actor.
He is an actor, and believe me, he's a graduate of USC in communications. And I was like, I'm thinking, okay, he's not doing this acting thing. We're good, right? And he graduates and is like, Mom, here's your degree, but I'm going to act. I was like, what? I love the work, you know, and the
What
industry.
did he get? What did he get a degree in?
Communications. Yes. And I love, you know, this industry that we're in, but I know the struggle and I know the journey. And so as a parent and as a mom, I was like, I just wanted him to be in something that was safe, you know, but he's, you know, decided he wants to act, and I'm happy that he has a degree if he needs to fall back on or what have you. And he's doing really well. So I'm, you know, I'm really happy for him in that way. And so I can't tell you how much wisdom I've tried to give my son throughout this life's journey, you know, as well as this acting journey. He does a whole skit about all the sayings that I have, you know, like don't let nobody pee in your face and tell you it's raining. You know, I come up with so many things. He was like, okay, got it, mom. But overall, I want him to be, and I tell him this all the time, that, you know, while I am a single parent and I had to raise him in that way, him being an African-American male, you know, I want him to lead his family.
Mhm.
And I said to him that, in my opinion, we are out of order in terms of, you know, there should be a man and a woman, and then they're with a family and raising the child. And so I want you to go in knowing that when you choose your wife and you have children, that you need to be present, because they're going to need your leadership. And that's really important to me, because he's grown up knowing that, you know, the mother is the head, because, you know, we've had some lemons and we made lemonades, and this is the cards that we're dealt, but that's not necessarily how it should be. And so I want him to know that as a man and as a leader, that he can choose wisely and stay committed, be the leader of his family and raise his children. So that's really, really important to me. So I instill that all the time. And secondly, we talk about it all the time that unfortunately we live in this world where color matters. He went to private schools, and so he was very like naive to the fact that, you know, and he's a beautiful chocolate brother. Okay, he is Michael Jordan chocolate. I just love it, and so he is.
You did birth a beautiful son.
Thank you, and I want him to know who he is and know and live in his power, and no matter what's going on.
What does that mean?
Live in his power.
Yes.
That he is a strong African-American Black brother in this world that can lead, that does not have to be submissive or inferior to anyone because of the color of your skin. That your skin means power. That when because he went to, like I said, he went to Brentwood School, which is a private school, and he went to USC, you know, so it's pretty predominantly, you know, white, and he's able to navigate himself through that, which I love about him. And not have to compromise.
And you too had to navigate.
Yes. And
Terms
he didn't assimilate.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about him. So is he is still who he is. Mm-hmm. He has his fro, you know, and he loves it, and he walks in the power of who he is. He's first God's child. He's my child, but he's his own man, and he's a proud Black man. Mm-hmm. And he exudes it in everything he does. And I think that's the best thing I think I've given to him. I've always told him how beautiful he is, and how I love that he's mannerable and he's respectful, and he's honorable and he's polite, but he's knowledgeable and he understands this world. And so there were times when, you know, for example, there was an incident where when he was in high school and he was at Brentwood School and he was in a restaurant with all of his friends, and he and Patrick Schwarzenegger's son, actually, they were in a restaurant. They were all, you know, just playing around. They were all fun, having a good time. And then someone knocked the drink out of Jordan's hand, and it spilled on the floor in the restaurant. And then the waiter, who happened to be white, came around and told my son, you need to clean that up. This is a restaurant. And so my son, you know, he's not clear on what's going on. He was like, huh? like one, I didn't do it, but I need to clean it up. The guy came and brought him a towel and said, if you don't clean this up, you're not gonna get to come in here anymore. And my son, because he said, I
Wow.
felt like something was wrong with that mine, so I didn't. That man picked my baby up by his backpack and tossed him out of the restaurant in front
Wow.
of all his friends.
Mm.
Now, you know, when I got wind of that, and I'm having flashbacks when I think about it, but I think I flew off all kind of traffic and everything just to get there. And the school was very supportive. It was found that it was true, and the guy was fired, and we sued, and I gave Jordan every penny of it. But that was a teachable moment
Yes.
for me with him, to say that everybody's not like this, but there are people out there who see you differently. And the fact that you stood up for yourself, you get to do that. And I wanted to sue them because I wanted him to know that if you are mistreated in this manner, you can stand up and you can speak for yourself. And so it was a whole year of me every day in and out, making sure that my son knew that one, I was fighting for him, that two, he would win. And he did. And the whole school, the owner came to the school and had an assembly. I told that owner, I need you to apologize to my son in front of everybody in this school, because he was humiliated in front of a lot of his friends. And so he did that. And the school rallied around. The restaurant closed down because of the support that the school had behind him. And so it was a life-changing moment for him, that he now understood that this world is not all peaches and cream. And some of the things that I would tell him, he'd be like, "Ma, it's not like that anymore. It's not like that anymore." And he understood that it was. And so, when he's around his friends, and they're in Bel Air and in Brentwood or whatever, and he's leaving at 1 a.m. and I'm on pins and needles, I'm saying to him that you're a Black young man in this community. And if they stop you, they're not going to automatically assume that you have friends in the neighborhood. So I need you to call me immediately, be obedient, put your both hands on, going through the whole spiel, just so that to make sure that my son comes home alive.
Right.
So unfortunately, I've had to instill that in him too.
Yes.
But I want him alive. I want him alive.
Mm. Do you think it would be much different raising an African American girl, female?
Yes, I do.
What would be the difference?
Regina, I think that there's a major threat. People are threatened by strong Black men. And when people are threatened, they are scared.
Mm-hmm.
They're in fear. So when people are in fear, then they want to kind of minimize whatever they think that power is, right? And women, I'll just say I've been pulled over a couple times, whatever, and I can flirt my way out of it sometimes. I can, be like, oh, but it's just something about a Black man that everybody is fearful of. In terms of the white woman, and these are my words, in my opinion, the white male. And I think they're afraid that they're going to take over and rule the world. I don't know. But whatever that mentality is from back in slavery has continued to manifest in generations to come until today. And I think it just needs to stop. I think that the fact that I'm a Black mother and I got to be scared for my son's life. Like when I think about it, I want to cry. On a constant basis.
Yes.
That he can't just hang out with his white friends and have fun and enjoy and not fear that he might be treated differently should something happen. The fact that I can't sleep when he's out because I don't know what's happening in the streets, and I just want him to come home safe. You hear so many stories, we know, of so many stories of just a simple car being pulled over, a simple light being out, a simple, maybe he was speeding a little bit and it turns into a life being taken. I don't want to be that like, Mom. So I'm constantly, Jordan. Okay, so he doesn't live with me anymore. He has his own place, but I'm still worried. So I'm going, Jordan. So when you do this, and he goes, Mom. But I'm on pins and needles constantly because I know what this world looks like. And while I've experienced racism, I mean, me going to SMU or just being about life, and somehow it doesn't. I don't think it impacts women as much as it does men, because when I don't want to minimize that, because there's some women who've been their lives have been
I agree. We think about Sandra Bland.
yeah, and so I can't really say that. I guess because I have a boy and I don't have a girl, and me being a girl, I did experience some, but not to the point that I felt like my life was in danger. And I know my son was like, when he got pulled over, he's all scared because he's like, I want to make the right move. And it's like, you shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't have to be that way. It just shouldn't.
And here we are today having this discussion. I feel in this body. Someone was telling me I was going to someplace overseas that was war torn. And they're saying, aren't you afraid going there? And I had to think about it. My fear level going to a war torn country in this body. And I went, oh, well, there's always something in the back of my mind that I have to be watchful, that I have to be careful in this body, no matter where I stand. And that's from childhood up to this day. So if my child then is male or female or transgendered, I think there would always be in me this watchfulness, something in the pit of my stomach when they're not present with me. Yeah. I think about coming of age at a certain time and integrating white institutions early on. I think about my mother putting me on that bus to go on the other side of town where she couldn't see me. What faith that took.
Yes. And praying that you would come home whole,
Yes.
You would come home whole.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think there is that. From then to now, and here we are in 2021, and we're still having these same conversations and these same fears for our children.
And I want to say that it's shocking, but it really isn't. You know what I mean? I just wish it were a shock. But so many people are bereft of the power of just honoring different people and different cultures. And I know it's instilled from back in the day, and you don't know what because what your parents teach you is kind of what you're going to go with. And so I think the generation now is a little more conscious than maybe the generations before. But the thought of, to me, of having to feel bad because of the way God made me, to feel less than because of the way God made me.
Yes.
It's just hard for me.
How do you instill that power in a child? I know with my mother, she instilled it through the arts. I am always known I was a writer. My mother taught me how to write children's books from the age of 4 years old. She was very mindful in giving me that gift to be able to create, to dream and create worlds where this little chocolate girl was in the center of it, navigating her way through. That was very empowering. That was a wonderful gift. She was a teacher and she knew what she was doing. We have to be able to write our own stories.
Wow, that's magical.
And going back then to Cicely Tyson, you know, that wonderful gift that was your entryway, was this amazing woman who was like trailblazing her way through with these images for us to hold on to as we
And
go, saying, yes, you can.
yes, we can. And I was going to say that, while I didn't have a lot of, growing up the way I did, the arts wasn't a part of my family, really. I'm the first artist, so to speak. But watching television and seeing, people who look like me, like
Yes.
Cicely, and
Yes.
going, that's why, it was always, she was going to be a far reach for me. So the fact to be in the same room and in the same scene with her was like, it was just crazy to me. But just,
Yes, and now today, that's what you're doing. You're setting up these images for others to say, "Oh, well, that's me," and you have such a
wow,
wide range, and you say, "Oh, and that's me, and that's me."
wow, that's
There,
true.
that's what you're about.
Oh, that's so, you know what? I just never think of it because I feel like I haven't arrived yet. And so, and the people
Oh,
that
well,
like,
well, what is that? You know, I think you have arrived. There is that difference. What was that shift for you when you're walking down the street and someone walked up to you and said, "I know you." What was that like?
it's humbling,
When
really.
was that, and what was that like?
Well, I remember being in the airport, and again, I don't, because it's hard sometimes for me to make the shift because I just know that as actors, we want to be working actors. And
Right.
it's what we do. And so for me, it's like, I want to be, I'm working on this person, trying to bring this person to life. And I'm going to try to bring this person to life. So that's kind of where my mind is. So if I'm flying or whatever, I'm just thinking, and then somebody recognized me. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you. But it was gratifying in a way that I have met some goals that I set out for myself.
Mhm.
It's gratifying in a way when people say to me, like for example, on The Young and the Restless, and I'm playing a woman who gave her twins for adoption when she was younger,
Yes.
and um, one of my family members called me crying and said that that was their life, and that to be able to tell that story made them confirm what they already knew about if they were loved or if they. So when we do this to inspire, to enlighten, to elevate, all those things. And so when people recognize me, one, but two, tell me that they've been moved in some way or another,
Mhm.
that doubles the blessing for me. And
Mhm.
it's even more shocking now during COVID. We're wearing masks and everything. I'm taking a walk. And this guy on the bus stop, I'm walking around the forum area. And this guy on the bus stop, he was like, you on that show, over, aren't you? And I'm like, you can tell with my mask on and I'm walking. He was like, I could tell by those eyes.
Lets you know that you have arrived.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'll receive that. I'll
And
receive that.
showing the different facets, the
Yeah.
different facets, the different layers of who we are. I think it's
Yes.
important with its brilliance, with its tragedy, with its humor,
Yes.
uh, all of that. We need
Yes.
to see all of us
All of
uh,
us,
as
including our mistakes,
yes,
as because even on the Oval, but also on Young and the Restless, it's like these are women who made some really bad choices
mhm,
that have affected the lives of other people, and
mhm,
it's in a way because I have to not judge them, but to honor them, knowing
mhm.
that there are people out there, like.
Showing us with complexity.
Yes, absolutely, and it's like you're more than your last mistake,
Mhm,
and that
mhm.
you can keep going in
Right.
spite of your choices. You can make another choice. You may not have made the right decision, but you can make the decision right. And so just being able to enlighten in that way through my work is a blessing.
So it feels like we're going through some type of renaissance of Black culture, of there's so much work. People are creating so much work and creating this content, and there are places, new places
Yep.
for this content to live, creating new audiences.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Well, I think, and unfortunately, it had to come through the whole George Floyd uh, debacle, I call it, because I just think it was just ridiculous that that had to happen and his life had to be taken in that manner.
Hmm.
But that the world was able to see what we already see and know and feel. They were able to see it with their own eyes. We talk about it, but then they think, oh, you're complaining, oh, you're being militant, all that. But to be able to see it and experience it, you know, his living and dying was not in vain. And I'm just so grateful that at least that part, happened. Wish he was still on earth, but if he had to pass, that it would be, an awakening. And I think that was the impetus of an
The
awakening.
new conversations.
Yes.
New conversations.
Yes. And we've had these conversations before, Regina,
Yes.
when something happens,
Yes.
Trayvon Martin happened, but it just seems like something really resonated.
Something shifted. And was that a combination of this, along with people having to sit down? They couldn't go anywhere.
Mhm.
A lot of people had to sit down and take in everything that was going on
Had to.
and be reflective, have time to be reflective,
That's so beautiful. And
to
it's true.
reflect on the state of the world.
Yes.
You cannot take your eyes away at
Mhm.
times.
And being accountable, like I feel like
And be accountable, yes.
for the first time that people are being more accountable of their part, of the part that they play in this, because, racism is institutionalized. You reap the benefits of it. So therefore you think, oh, well, it wasn't me, it was my dad, it was my mom. But people are being more accountable, going, wait a minute, this is happening. And while, it's not me doing it, but, people around me are doing it. I'm not saying anything when people are doing it. So I feel like that we have that we have support now. It's not just us fighting for ourselves, because it still makes it separate. It takes a village. It takes everybody. So when people of different races come out and they go, no, you're treating them wrong. No, Black lives do matter. And no, we're not. I know I matter, but they matter too. I mean, when they can get it and hear it and say it and support it, then I think that, it's a louder voice. It's a louder voice, even in our industry and in what we're doing. Right. They're seeing that the pay grade is different. Why? Are you a part of the problem? Like, why should it be? We're doing the same thing. Why is that so? Looking at the casting, are you telling me that, because you're Black, you're less of an actor than because you're white or, of other nationalities? I mean, your gift is your gift. And so even our stories are being told, and they're even content. There's even more content that's being taken on as a go, a green lit.
Yes, and there's no more, oh, we can't put a Black person in the lead because people don't want to watch.
Yes.
That whole myth has been dispelled.
It has. And so I think we're not where we need to be, but we're getting further. And I think it's because of the united front that's happening in accordance with that. And I think if they keep that going, and it's a united front, then it'll continue to change. I saw on the news the other day where they're looking at Dr. Oz, I think, thinking it was 5% Black doctors, and that he is making an effort to look into that, to see why is that so. And even in sports with head football, with the head coaches,
yes,
the percentage is low, and quarterbacks, the percentage is low, and they're actually just taking a look at this world and realizing that whether you're personally racist or not, it is racist in institutionalized into a system that we are all benefiting from, or they, you know what I mean? And if you're benefiting from it and you're not speaking about it, then you're a part of the problem.
Right.
And I'm just grateful that people are seeing that now and they're speaking out. And I think ultimately, you know, it will bring about a change.
Right. People are speaking about it all across the board.
Oh, yeah.
Usually we speak about it in terms of Black and white.
Yeah.
Our stories are being told in this moment in time. People are looking for content that is specifically Black,
Yes.
Black characters, Black issues. We still are banging on doors, but we're also given the opportunity to create our own platforms in this moment in time. In this time, too, in the time of COVID, we are having more and more people self-produce. So that takes away some of the gatekeepers. It's now in the Oscar Michaud type field of doing it ourselves and creating our own audiences. And there are audiences, a wide range of audiences that will follow. I think that's really a very exciting time to be an artist right now.
It is, and we have the pioneers who will continue to make way. You know, the Tyler Perry's, the Oprah Winfrey's. You know, it's
Yes.
They've set the example, you know, for us, so that you don't have to have the mentality that I had when I graduated from college, which was I just want somebody to say yes to me. Now we have an avenue of which we can produce our own things.
Yes.
Tell our own stories and value our stories, and don't have to wait for somebody to go, well, that's a good story. No, it's our life, it's our story.
Yes.
And so to be able to do that, or have the opportunity to do that and know that they're, you know, because live streaming, it's so many different ways to watch everything. The world has just changed in that way. And so it just gives us an opportunity, you know, and not just our, you know, not just Black and brown people, but Asian people, whomever, to now be valued as a strong people who has a voice and something, a valued voice that we want to shout and tell the world that this is who we are. We're not just one way. And I think, you know, how the industry used to be, you only just saw one way. It was somebody who's slave, you know, maid or whatever. And there was that. But then there's so many other aspects to who we are.
Right. And there's usually only one.
Yes.
Or two.
Grateful to be able to see how vast and that we are, and they can appreciate all of it instead of relegating us to just this one thing.
Right. Yes. It's a very exciting time. Can you talk about filming during the time of COVID?
Ooh-wee. Yes, I can. This is one. Let me just say, I've been blessed to actually be able to work.
Yes.
During COVID. So, you know, I won't complain. But just the process in itself is just very different. I mean, I'm here now in Atlanta shooting the third season of The Oval with Tyler Perry. And, you know, Tyler Perry is very serious about this COVID thing. I tested 7 times before I got here. And when I got here, I've tested every single day. And it is, in fact, I tested today. And it is in an effort to make sure that we are able to work, but we are able to work in a safe environment. And I think that I'm grateful to him for that. And I think that it's because of that rigor and regimen that, you know, I'm able to make a living even during COVID. I tell you, on Young and the Restless, it's a little different where we're not in a bubble. We do tests often, but I get to go home because it's shot in LA. But what has changed is because they're not working in the bubble, and as an artist, you know, you're doing a scene and you still have to social distance during the scene. You cannot, you know, there's a scene that I was supposed to hug my daughter. I can't touch her. No one can touch your stuff. You cannot, you know, and so it's changed the dynamics of which you work.
So how do you, if the script says you have to hug her, what do you do?
You don't.
Okay.
So somehow you have to show that love in your eyes or
Got it.
whatever. But and that's the challenge, for me. And just not being able to, and I think I was telling you earlier, it has affected not only our work world, but just our life. I mean, I'm from the
Yes.
South, and I'm used to touching and hugging, and that's just who I am. And I have to constantly, shut down from my normal, the normal person that I am, and my instincts. And so even in a scene, my instinct may be to touch or hug or whatever, how we do, and you can't do that. Even in rehearsal, you're wearing a mask, and so it does. It does create a few boundaries that you kind of have to overcome, and it's compromised in a way in terms of the scene because you're not able to do some real life things that you would do normally. But they're managing it and making it through, and so that's what we're doing. But I just can't wait until we get back to a sense of normalcy, even in auditioning. Talking about how COVID has affected us. Being you're so used to being able to go in the room and to meet the producer or the casting director and do it, and then they get to know you and your energy and all of that. It's gone.
Right. Everyone is auditioning self-tape. That's what people are doing now. Self-tapes. And I don't know if that's going to go back to being back in the room again. People love the self-tapes now. And I find that that is challenging.
It's challenging because you're having to be the director, technical director, and then the actress. And so, you're in your head sometimes when you need to be in your heart.
Right. And that alchemy that happens when you're in the same room with someone. And maybe, you give an okay audition, in reading, but something happens in terms of a conversation between someone in a room that lets you know, oh, I think we would be great working with each other.
Yeah, yes. And just missing that human connection.
Yes.
There's power in that. And I pray that we get to go back, but I feel as you do that, they have found some positives in that. Yeah. And
some things will stay.
But it has changed. Everything has changed. Like I said, from auditioning to working, even within the moments of the scenes, it's all riddled by this COVID. And then me now, we basically have to stay on Tyler Perry Studios, which is not a bad thing. I mean, he takes care of us. You get a lot of food, and and you get housing, and it's it feels like college again. So it's really nice to just connect with your with the stars of the show and everything. But it's still different, and you don't have the autonomy that you had, in so many ways. But I'm just grateful that even in that. That I'm able to, to still be working and to provide for myself and to still be doing what I love to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm grateful for that. And I just can't wait to get back to hugging and touching and all that good stuff because it's all like tied up inside of me, and I can't wait to just let it go.
Yeah, we hold on to that which sustains us.
Right.
And the rest we let go and adapt.
That's good. That's true. Mm-hmm.
We are resilient. It's in our DNA.
Yes. And now I'm looking forward to, I understand that LA is kind of opened up a little more, and that the COVID vaccine is available to everyone. Mm-hmm. So, I'm looking forward to actually getting the vaccine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Miss Ptosha.
Oh, and look, I feel like I'm just in the living room talking to you. It's been wonderful.
Oh, it's great. It is great. It's great talking with you always.
Oh, definitely. I just want to say to you that you too, are in my eyes a pioneer. I mean, your work just speaks volumes, on screen, and I watch you, and I am, just forever moved and blessed by your art. And I just want to thank you, just for sharing that with the world. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And also for giving me this opportunity to talk with you. It's been a blast.
Thank you. I appreciate you for this conversation in this moment.
Yay, yay.